Hello, my name is Alison Doubet, and I am here to present to you my internship experience of the Educational Technology program at Loyola University for the 2017-2018 school year. I'll begin by introducing myself. As I said, my name is Alison Doubet. I am a teacher at Joppa Elementary School in Baltimore County, which is a Lighthouse school, and all of our students are one-to-one. I have been teaching third grade ELA for the past year, but before that, I taught first grade for 4 years. I received my bachelor's degree in early childhood education from Towson University, and I am currently working towards my master's degree in educational technology at Loyola. These were the specific goals and objectives for my internship last year. I wanted to, one, provide teachers with professional development sessions that focus on 4 innovative digital tools. And I wanted those tools to be used by teachers to create meaningful independent work for students. This goal was chosen based on our school progress plan and based on the observation tools that administration was using to evaluate teachers last year. I also wanted to select tools that catered to the 4 C's of 21st century learning, which are communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity, because this was a big initiative within Baltimore County last year. I wanted to design effective online learning experiences for teachers in order to accommodate their busy schedules, and 3 out of the 4 sessions that I held were hosted online. I also wanted to support teachers with the application of these new tools in their classrooms and assist participants in the progression of the SAMR model, moving them from their current stage of augmentation to hopefully a future stage of redefinition. So here I will present you with the timeline of actions and events throughout the course of my internship. Starting from the very beginning on August 30th, I had my first initial meeting with our stat teacher. Her name is Nicole. In this meeting, we discussed the needs and goals for the year as determined by administration, and we reviewed the school progress plan for the year in order to set a goal for my plan. This is where we decided to focus on creating meaningful independent work for students and focusing on the 4 C's of 21st century learning. So we also brainstormed ideas for topics at this meeting in terms of which tools to use to focus on. The following day, I met with our administration to present the ideas from the previous day's meeting and to gain approval for moving forward. And I received input and suggestions to use in my proposal. And then the next day, I administered a survey to all staff in order to assess further needs and goals that we can meet in my internship. I used SurveyMonkey to conduct this survey, and I emailed it and set expectations for responses, which included a deadline. Following the survey, I analyzed the results to develop my specific plan of action. I presented the plan to all staff at a faculty meeting on September 11th. After I presented the plan and let everybody know about the goals, objectives, the benefits, and the plan of action, I collected the names of people who were willing to participate, and soon after I sent a welcome email to those people who signed up. On October 23rd, I released our first online PD link. I created this online PD that is focused on the use of VoiceThread. I created it on a website. I used Weebly as the platform. And as you can see in the photo to the right, I have different steps on the website, and each step includes different tasks for teachers to complete to progress them from the beginning to the end of the session. Halfway through the course, participants are expected to complete a checkpoint, and the deadline for this checkpoint was on November 1st. And I used the information gathered from responses to provide support and assistance as needed based on the feedback I received. The online PDs also include a final reflection at the end, and November 13th was the final reflection deadline for the VoiceThread PD. I used Google Forms to conduct this final reflection, and as you can see, an example of one of the questions is included on this page. I used the information to contact participants who expressed an interest in support, and I provided assistance as needed. On November 16th, I met with a reading specialist at our school who wanted help in designing a fluency practice on VoiceThread for her intervention instruction with students. So I was able to provide support with her in a one-on-one setting. On November 20th, I met with a first grade teacher after school to help her with technical difficulties she was having with VoiceThread, and I also helped her assign an activity for her students to complete the next day. On January 8th, I released the second online PD session link, which focused on screencasting. I also used Weebly to create this website, and as you can see in the picture, it's very similar to the VoiceThread PD. It has steps that progress with tasks, and it includes a checkpoint halfway and a final reflection at the end. The screencasting checkpoint deadline was January 22nd, and again I used this information from the checkpoint to provide as much support and assistance as I could based on the feedback I received. February 2nd was the final reflection deadline for the screencasting PD. I once again used Google Forms to host this final reflection. I collected and analyzed the responses in order to contact the participants who needed support and provide assistance to them. You can see a snapshot of one of the questions included on this page. On February 6th, I met with our stat teacher again to discuss the lack of participation that we got in the screencasting PD. I expressed to her my concerns about the drop in participation, and so we discussed ideas for increasing participation for the next PD, which included adding additional incentives for those who participate. So by the end of this meeting, we decided to add 2 extra incentives. One of them was an extra credit towards our school's program for professional development that results in a recertification credit, and the other incentive was a free dismissal period, which includes coverage during dismissal time so that teachers can receive extra planning. On March 12th, I released our third online PD link that focused on Seesaw, and I actually used the platform Wix to create this website. So it looks a little different, but it is still set up the same way as the previous 2, with the progression of steps and tasks, and it also includes the checkpoint and final reflection. On March 12th, I also announced to staff members the newly added incentives of the extra credit and the dismissal coverage for those who participate. March 23rd was the checkpoint deadline for the Seesaw PD. I had this checkpoint on Google Forms, and I collected and analyzed these responses to provide support and assistance to those who need it. You can see an example of one of the checkpoint questions included on this page. On March 27th, I was able to provide support to a 4th grade teacher who needed help in setting up a Seesaw class and creating an activity for her students. We met after school one day in a one-on-one session. And on April 4th, I was contacted by a 1st grade teacher who wanted help introducing Seesaw to her students. So I actually invited her class to come to our room for my 3rd graders to teach her 1st graders how to use Seesaw, and I used that time to model for the teacher how to implement the Seesaw activity with the students and provide support to her as we were working during this time. April 6th was the final reflection deadline for the Seesaw PD. I hosted this deadline on the Seesaw app itself and had teachers post as students answers to the reflection questions, and you can see a sample response on this page. On April 13th, I met again with our stat teacher, Nicole, to discuss ideas for the last PD as well as concerns that I was having at this time. I was concerned towards the end of the year about the motivation from teachers, since it was getting towards the end of the year and teachers weren't as interested in experimenting with new technology at this time. I felt as if the tool that we had previously decided on, which was Office 365, was a little too complex and complicated for this part of the school year. So we decided on a new topic, a new tool that would be more appropriate for the teacher's needs and wants at this point. And that tool was called ClassFlow. And I decided to have these ClassFlow PDs face-to-face because of the live nature of this tool and the interactive platform. It was easier to allow participants to experience it face-to-face and in person rather than hosting it online. So on May 30th, 31st, and June 1st, I had 3 different face-to-face sessions, both before and after school, and I did 3 sessions in order to accommodate the participants' busy schedules, and I held that each session in my own classroom. June 4th, I released the link to the final reflection for the ClassFlow PD session on Google Forms, and once again used those results to support teachers who needed assistance. At the end of the year, on June 12th, I released the link to the final reflection for the year. I shared the responses of this Google form with our stat teacher and administration to reflect on the success of our plan and to also plan for next school year. Next, I will be presenting the 5 out of 18 key concepts that I met as a result of my internship program. The first key concept that was met was number 3, technology integration models and technical tasks. Specifically 3.1, applying the model of SAM-R to incorporate technology tools to improve teaching and learning. Based on the results of the pre-assessment survey that I conducted with staff in the beginning of the year, I was able to determine that most of our staff members were currently functioning on the augmentation stage of the SAM-R model. And this allowed me to set a goal to support teachers in reaching the redefinition stage through their participation in my internship. I realized that at this point, most of the teachers were using technology on a daily basis, but they weren't using it in innovative ways. So my goal through my professional developments was to support them in creating activities that are previously inconceivable without technology in order to reach the redefinition stage. While I presented my action plan and my goals to staff members at that faculty meeting, I addressed the SAM-R model and the importance of the model in technology integration. And as I introduced my plan for the year, I referred back to the effect that my PD sessions will have on their progression through the SAM-R model so that they were aware of what my goal was and aware that I would like for them to reach the redefinition stage. The teachers who participated in the sessions that I held and actually put forth the effort in applying these tools with their students did reach the goal of redefinition by the end of the year. They were creating tasks that were innovative, interactive, engaging, and they really redefined the independent work that their students were doing. The participants who may have completed the sessions but not necessarily used the tools with their students did not reach redefinition by the end of the year. So moving forward, I expect to provide further support next year in assisting the teachers in applying tools to their instruction now that they've been exposed, and hopefully moving more people to the redefinition stage next year. The next key concept that was met is number 4, communication skills, specifically 4.1, helping students use technology tools to collaborate with others inside and outside of the classroom. The 4 tools that I chose to focus on throughout my internship catered to those 4 C's of learning, and 2 of the tools greatly enhanced student communication and collaboration, and those tools were VoiceThread and Seesaw. After the VoiceThread PD, many participants immediately utilized the tool with their students, and a lot of students were sharing ideas via video, audio, or text on VoiceThread activities, and classrooms became really familiar with this tool for hosting discussions and sharing knowledge. Seesaw is a digital portfolio tool where students can post text, pictures, videos, drawings. And so during my PD session, I focused on using Seesaw as an online journal for students to share ideas and then provide feedback to classmates. With both of these tools, you can share VoiceThreads or Seesaw posts with students outside of your classroom and also with parents to create that home to school connection and open a more broad line of communication. And so a lot of teachers were utilizing those features as well to reach members that are outside of their classroom. The next key concept that was met is number 12, online teaching. Specifically 12.1, developing an online facilitation plan based on best practices of online learning and teaching that demonstrate the ability to teach in the online environment. So when staff members expressed their concern of time deficiency when presented with the opportunity to do this PD program, I decided to host 3 of the 4 sessions online rather than face-to-face in order to cater to these needs and make the accommodations. I also chose to make the sessions asynchronous so that teachers could complete the tasks at a time that's convenient for them and manage their own pacing and schedules. When designing the online sessions, I considered the best practices of online learning and teaching and made an effort to include a variety of visuals and representations, catering to a variety of learning styles. I also set deadlines for the checkpoints and final reflections to help teachers manage their pacing and stay on track. And I assured participants that I was personally available for support and assistance through the course of the session, whether before and after school or during my planning time. I communicated with teachers through email and one-on-one sessions and meetings to address any concerns and provide help. And then finally, I used the feedback from the final reflections of each PD to make changes and improvements to future and following sessions. I also met key concept 14, which was digital video, and I met these 2 subtopics of 14.1 and 2 for creating screencasts and live videos for instructional purposes and or professional development. Because most of my PDs were offered online, screencasts and videos were very important to providing instruction. So throughout the year, I made several screencasts that were included in the sessions. You see a snapshot of one of the screencasts I made for the VoiceThread session on this screen. I also helped teachers create their own screencasts for instructional purposes in my second PD session that focused on screencasting. I created a live video and screencast combination for presenting my plan for teachers in the beginning of the year. The live aspect of the video made the presentation a little more interactive and engaging, and I created this video for professional development purposes to introduce the program to the teachers and hopefully gain their participation. Finally, I met Key Concept 18, which is Educational Technology Resources, specifically 18.1, locating a variety of resources, evaluating them, and assisting colleagues with this process. At the beginning stages of planning my internship, it was overwhelming the amount of digital tools that are offered for education. So I decided to really analyze the results of my pre-assessment survey and have an in-depth discussion with our stat teacher to identify the specific areas of need and interest in order to narrow down the selection of our tools. So after careful research and discussion, I chose the 4 tools that would cater to the needs of our participants. After selecting these tools, I evaluated them by utilizing them with my own students. This also provided me with authentic models and ideas to offer participants in each session. And during this evaluation time, I was able to kind of figure out any technical challenges that may arise and possible solutions to help resolve the challenges. And this would improve my ability to support teachers with the application and allow me to provide a well-rounded session with relevant information for participants. Here I will address the accomplishments and challenges that we met throughout the program. Some of the accomplishments were that many teachers mastered new digital tools that they didn't previously know about, and they used them to create meaningful independent activities for students, which was my goal. The online format of the PDs catered to teachers' needs and addressed concerns about time-consuming PD offerings. Online PDs can also be delivered again next year. I can send the links to those who are maybe open to the opportunity and reach more teachers who are ready to experiment with technology. And as a result of my professional development sessions, many teachers ended up reaching the redefinition stage of SAM-R by the end of the program. Some challenges we faced are that we had a change in administration in the middle of the year. In December, our former principal went through a resignation, so we were without a principal for a little while, and so that lack of administration made it difficult to gain participation from teachers and was kind of a tough period for the school in general. Another challenge I faced was I created the Seesaw PD on the platform Wix, and I did not realize that Wix websites are not accessible through the Baltimore County Public Schools network, so participants were not able to access that PD link at school. They had to access it at home outside of the Baltimore County network. Another challenge was that the teacher motivation was depleting towards the end of the year. Teachers were not as open to new technology experimentation in late April, early May, so it was difficult to gain their participation and engagement. And finally, it was difficult for me to be a source of support for teachers during their application time since I am a full-time teacher myself. I had to be flexible and offer before and after school times and use my planning time to offer support as much as I could. Here I'll share things I would change about the experience and next steps moving forward. These are some things that I would change if I were to do it over again. I would be more persuasive to administration to get involved to try and increase participation. I believe the drop in participation in the middle of the year was due to the lack of administrative involvement. So if I were to do this again, I would be more adamant that administration gets involved in my program. I would offer more incentives for participating because it seems like once I did that For the Seesaw PD, I had higher levels of participation. And finally, I would try to release the sessions closer together so that the program finishes before the end of the school year, hopefully to solve the problem of lack of motivation towards the end of the year with teachers. Moving forward, I am going to follow up with participants next year about continuing to use the tools and offering them continued support as well. I will release the online PDs to those who did not participate last year in case they want to get involved next year. I will meet again with our stat teacher to plan future PDs that can be offered online on new, different tools. And I will share with the staff last year's work and highlight the accomplishments that teachers achieved. That is it. Thank you for viewing my internship presentation. Please feel free to leave any constructive feedback and suggestions for improvement. I greatly appreciate your input. Thank you for watching.